So if you're new to the lathe, or perhaps you're just new to turning between centers, stick around, because in today's video I'm going to give you some tips that will not only allow you to get better results, but also do it more efficiently. Okay, so if you're into, say, bowl turning or faceplate turning, you'll know that there are a myriad of different sort of tool rests to be able to get around the curved surface of the bowl that you're turning, for example. And, you know, there's good reason for that, because it makes the wood turner more efficient, right? Now, when it comes to turning between centers, what you'll probably have that you probably got when you bought your lathe is a short tool rest like this. Pops in your banjo, straight, it's roughly 12 inches long, and for shorter stuff it's fine, something like this wine table column, for example, or, you know, whatever, that works fine. When it comes to something a little longer, like a staircase baluster like this, though, we're sort of forced then to move our tool rest along as we turn. But that's not always really optimal, because ideally, for me at least, I would want to be turning this long tapered section all in one. And in fact, you know, this tool rest isn't even, you know, long enough for that. So in that situation, what you want to do is get yourself another banjo. And if you don't know, a banjo is what connects the tool rest to the lathe bed. So I'm just going to pop this one on, because with the second tool rest, I can simply grab another, with a second banjo, I can simply grab another tool rest and make one long tool rest to be able to turn the whole lot in the one go. So that's way better for a start. So that's definitely an option. My preferred way, however, of doing it is to actually use a longer tool rest, one that actually spans two banjos. And in this situation with this baluster, I'm going to grab the shorter one of the ones that I've got, and this, which is 2 feet, I think, or 610 millimeters, thereabouts. So in this situation, I'm going to get rid of that. That's a bit weird. Get rid of that one. And I'm going to simply move this over, and there we go. Move that in a little bit, because it is actually a little different. And that tool rest, that banjo is a different one. So there we go. So now what I've got is one nice, solid, continuous tool rest, so that at no point at all as I move across here, whether I'm doing this long tapered section or, you know, up here cutting in the pommels, at no point along the tool rest do I have any obstructions, or do I need to stop and reset things or anything like that. Once I have the tool rest set where I want it, I set it, forget it, that's it. It's there until I finish the job. So that's one thing. What you will find, though, with turning longer, skinnier pieces, is an issue potentially with vibration, and it varies depending on the material that you're turning. Something like this Douglas fir does vibrate a lot, and so what do we got? In that situation, I just use this, and this is just a homemade or shop made, if you like, stay. So this basically goes onto the bench, and I just screw that down. Now with that in position, I'll turn down when I first start turning, before it gets too thin. I'll turn down a section in the middle, right where the backstay is, to accept the backstay, and that holds it really nice and firmly. There's various different ones of this on the market that you can buy ready-made, and you know, if they fit your lathe and it's just easier, then that's probably the way to go. Another type of backstay, something a lot more simple, would be the same sort of frame, I guess, where it bolts to the lathe or whatever, and this would just come up. It's simply a piece of material that's drilled out here and then cut off, so that you can bring that up to the material, and you just use a little bit of candle wax essentially to hold that, and that way as you're turning it reduces the vibration. It's not really as nice as this, but it's definitely a lot quicker, and the fact that, you know, you don't necessarily have to have this enclosed, so to speak. It's just pushing on the back. So another thing to consider that will affect the quality of your turning is how stable your tool rest is. And in the case of the short tool rest, where it's just held by the one post, you can have flex in these. And when you're turning, obviously, and that's flexing, then yeah, you're not going to get a good cut quality. So one way you can alleviate that is just using pieces of 1x1 or something, just any old scrap, and cut it to go between the bed of the lathe and the underside of the ends of the tool rests. So you'd have one on either side here, and that'll just sort of stiffen things up and stop that from flexing, if you like. But that of course brings me back to why, you know, these long tool rests are so much better, because they are just so much stiffer than a standard tool rest. So now, depending on how long the piece is that you have to turn, I've actually had other tool rests made up. This is, I'm going to say it's 3 feet long, and I've got another one 4 feet long. So these come in really, really handy when I'm turning newel posts and things like that. So it's a very, very simple tool rest. It's a 1 inch, I think. Let me just check that. Yeah, 1 inch post, but I mean, yours will be whatever is going to suit your banjos. I think 1 inch is probably very typical. This piece of flat bar is 2 inch by, I'm going to say 3/8, yeah. So 3/8 of an inch, or 10 millimeters thick by 50 millimeters wide, and that gives you a nice solid tool rest to work off without, you know, too much sort of vibration. If there is a downside to this system, if you will, it's that you can only get your tool rest in as close as the square parts of your baluster, or the pommels on your baluster. So with a baluster this thick, which is 46 millimeters square, it's not that big a deal, because, you know, none of the parts that are turned are really, really thin, and therefore a long way away from the edge of the tool rest. That may change a little bit, obviously, as you go up in size. If you're turning some really big, thick, chunky balusters, then obviously you know, you might have, especially on your coves and stuff, a little bit bigger distance from the material to the tool rest. But generally speaking, it's really not a problem, but something to be aware of, I guess. I'd take that any day over having to move tool rests and stuff all the time. So, or using multiple ones. Not to say that, you know, especially with, you know, a long newel post or something, I don't need to actually use multiple tool rests, but typically I'm using, you know, longer ones, so there's much more turning in between any join between tool rests. Any local sort of machine shop or whatever, welders, fabricators, fabricating shop will be able to make these up for you. Honestly, I don't know what angle this is. I'm going to say, well, it's definitely a lot more than 45. I'm going to say it's probably a 60-degree angle on that. Probably doesn't matter too much. It definitely needs to be steep. You don't want it at 45 or you just sort of get things too far away. I like the simplicity of this this type of tool rest. I find for me, being able to use my index finger on my left hand underneath that flat bar to be able to hold on and get a nice firm grip on especially the skew chisel, but also the gouge as well. If I'm doing something fine, I always try and, you know, have that index finger hooked under that, and it provides a really nice solid sort of contact, if you will, between my hands and the tool rest. So certainly, I mean, look, it's not going to stop any trips or anything like that. They're going to happen like that, and you won't even, you know, be able to stop it. But yeah, I do like to have a good firm grip on the tool rest, unless of course I'm actually using the skew in a way that, well, I have to slide down the length of the tool rest. So the other nice thing about, you know, having the tool rest like this is that once I've done the turning and it comes time to sand, then the tool rest is actually never really in the way. I use the sandpaper on the back part of the material being that I'm sanding, and the tool rest isn't in the way. So I never have to take the tool rest off or anything like that in between changing material out for the next baluster to be turned. So for the cost of getting that made up, if you've got lots of balusters to do, or perhaps you want to try to do more of that type of work, then that's definitely the way to go. Okay, so that's basically all I wanted to share today. If this is the sort of content you like, please hit the thumbs up. I'd like to try and do more of this sort of stuff and try and get more tips and tricks, if you will, with all sorts of different things out there. So if that interests you, but you're not already subscribed, maybe consider doing that. And thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.